What's up, guys? JJ Fade 23. I just want to go over a little earnings play that I like to use. Same thing I did on Microsoft and many others. But basically, when a stock gaps up on earnings and it's got a lot of upgrades, really good earnings, and especially if you have I'm going to use my amazing painting skills, all right? If you have a wicked strong downtrend, a lot of the times the stock will gap up and just keep selling off, especially if it's like the first or second reversion to like an EMA, like that. But when a stock has already kind of bottomed out, like Microsoft, all right, and then it's now, it's bottomed out. Maybe it's came down on the daily chart and did like this, you got a double bottom, kind of like or high or low, inverse head and shoulders, and now it's starting to uptrend this way, and then, you have resistance over here. We gap over that resistance on earnings, right? So what happens is a lot of the times, so let's say the resistance is right here that we're gapping over. Oh, let me lower that down a little. Let's say this is the resistance we're gapping over. Now, a lot of the times at the open, the stock will just dip towards resistance and then start going back up, go through the open price, and then start grinding all day. So you can either play the dip back towards short-term daily EMAs, which I like to use as the 8 on the daily chart. You know where that is. So you know where the 8 is on the daily chart. You know where the support, where the old resistance is on the daily chart. So you're looking for a dip towards it intraday, and then maybe like a M pad, a W pattern or something, or a quick wick down, and then buy it for the long. But that's a lot of people trade like that off the open. I personally like to let that play out a little bit, right? And then wait till like midday where I have my 8, 21, and 34 on the 10-minute chart catching up, because it will gap up to up here somewhere. It will come down, it will dip. Sometimes it will dip right to the 8-minute, 10-minute 8, and the 8 on the daily. But as long as it comes back towards the 10-minute 8 and about the resistance that it broke out somewhere near there, it'll start reclaiming. It might go back through the open, but my favorite thing is when they consolidate a lot of the day, kind of just like Microsoft did, all right? And then eventually work its way back to the 10-minute 21. The first touch of the 10-minute 21, I love to buy and then risk off the low of day. Or wait for it to consolidate really tight in a squeeze right on top of the 10-minute 21 and have all the 10-minute EMA stacked positive, and the stock goes sideways and then breaks out near the end of the day, and then you can swing it for a day or two, just like Microsoft. It's just really gap up on earnings. You get it. You can quite often gives you a great dip and rip at open, and also a great mean reversion on the 10-minute chart, and also great squeeze patterns on the 10-minute chart, which I love. It just works really well. So basically, you break over the resistance. Now the thing you have to be careful for is something like Disney, right? Disney was it Disney? Hold on, was it Disney just the other day? One sec. Disney had a massive gap up, right? No, it wasn't Disney. What am I talking about? I'm losing my marbles here. Meta, sorry. Meta had a huge gap up, but Meta's already had a daily chart, that was running up and running up and running up. It already gapped up once and kept running. The daily chart's gone, made a gap, gone. Now another gap. So, the more it gets extended, it becomes harder to really break out on day one. As you guys see, it's like it's went sideways on day one and kind of dipped, and now it's holding. It still could go sideways a little more and have a breakout, but it's definitely not as good when the gap is that big. You don't want the gap to be huge. That gap was like $30 or something crazy. Microsoft's gap was, I think it was, the difference between Microsoft and Disney was that Disney was gapping up pretty much away from, Meta, sorry, I keep saying Meta. I keep saying Disney. Meta was gapping up pretty far above the most recent resistance level to it to dip back to and rip. Microsoft was gapping up and only just above a nice clear resistance level. So it could have a quick dip. And I want to show you one more trick, all right? Now, the other thing, when a daily chart looks like this, check this out. When a daily chart looks like this, going into earnings, all right, and then has a big drop like Microsoft did, and then the earnings gap it back up over here. This is what I love to see. Is short sellers and whatnot come in right here, pushing it down. Then the stock all of a sudden gaps up on earnings back over the resistance. Makes for a great quick dip and then rip. Now, unlike Disney, which didn't have a Disney was I keep saying Disney, sorry. Meta. Unlike Meta, which didn't have too much of a bit. It had a little dip before the open, but more of kind of just like a little sideways flaggy that continues to gap up and go. But if you notice, if you look at Microsoft's chart, you'll see it had more of a bigger flush before the gap up, which I love those. And it didn't gap too high above this, so it gave a nice clear level. It gave a nice clear level to down and then gap up, and a nice clear old resistance becomes support for the dip at open, and then keep going. So I like when the levels it's breaking out over are recent, so it can dip to them and then hold the 10-minute EMAs and go higher. And I also like when the stock has a bit of a decent flush before it gaps up on earnings, because that makes it less likely to be an exhaustion gap, which happens sometimes when you have a daily chart that looks like this. It's going up, it gaps up again, it's going up. Not many pullbacks, and then you get the big gap up on earnings, and everybody sells the gap because there hasn't been any selling on the way up. None of this was selling. So when there's a little selling and then it gaps up, that's great. I don't know, I'm kind of got a little lost there with that video, but I'm not redoing it. My drawings suck. Hope you get the point. And then once it gaps up, you're waiting for the 10-minute EMAs to catch up with the pre-market data off. And the 10-minute 21 is the money. It really is. 10-minute 21, check out Microsoft. Huge gain on that. Just pulled right over to the 10-minute 21.34 and then ripped. See that quite often. But, yeah, I don't know. I probably should have just done this with a regular chart because I can't draw for shit, but whatever. Thanks. Bye.